Tank host Kevin O'Leary tries to give a reality check to CNN about the liberal policies that are ruining states like New York. And newsflash, they don't exactly take it well. Try explaining business or money or actual economics to a bunch of journalists who majored in the humanities all their lives. And I guess this is the type of result you get. I'm Vince for Resist the Mainstream. If you enjoy our content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Why should you subscribe? Because that way we can keep bringing you videos like this. And that said, check this out.
And here's the one thing that nobody saw coming, and this is the competition of states. I don't put companies here in New York anymore, or in Massachusetts, or in New Jersey, or in California. Those states are uninvestable. The policy here is insane. The taxes are too high. We put them in Fargo, North Dakota, because 40% of the people work elsewhere, including Boston. So I was, a bit of a debate with Elizabeth Warren about this, but I say, look, Senator, we've got to move the companies out of your state because you're not investable anymore. You're punishing people if they're successful. You overtax them. You hit them with a super tax. New Jersey, what a mess. New York, uninvestable.
Wait,
California,
why is New York uninvestable?
Try and do a project in New York. Try and build a data.
I'm asking, Don's point, is it beyond the taxes?
Oh, the regulatory environment is punitive. I had a project in upstate New York behind the grid in Niagara Falls for electricity, a global data center we were building. Eventually, it got so bad with the politicians in the local region and the state policy, we moved it to Norway and all the jobs. Wow. Norway has it now. Thousands of jobs coming out of that. I mean, that is...
And by the way, this is a trend that's not exclusive to Kevin O'Leary or his businesses. We know this nationally, right? Companies, and by the way, people, human capital, are all collectively moving out of blue states. For instance, California, under Gavin Newsom's governorship, literally lost population for the first time in, I believe, well over a century. And take a listen to how CNN is about to just deny that that's real or that's a problem.
That's New York. Uninvestable. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger. Just telling you the way it is.
Yeah,
That's it. Uninvestable.
Some pushback from our elected officials in New York on that.
I was just going to say Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, but
I'll debate them any time of the day you want.
We would love to set that up.
Particularly
I'd watch
AOC.
that.
She's great at killing jobs. She kills jobs by the thousands. You know, another New Jersey problem. Where did Amazon take their jobs? They took them away from her. She threatened to sue them if they created jobs. I mean, this is a reality. This is a reality that the business...
There's a little more to it, but let's not relitigate that.
Well, sorry, just telling the truth.
He's saying what a lot of people are saying, especially what happened with that Amazon thing here in New York.
At least Don Lemon there was willing to interject with a little bit of reality for once. Newsflash and update there. Don Lemon has since been fired by CNN, so I guess that tells you a lot. But listen to how Caitlin Collins and the other host are so insanely dismissive. They basically try to imply with their questioning like that's not a real thing. Well, listen to Kathy Hochul, listen to the politicians. It's like this is just such typical mainstream journalist behavior. Here you have a very successful businessman telling you the reality of what liberal policies are doing to states like New York. And by the way, it's not just him, right? This is far from anecdotal. You take a look at the fact that Elon Musk is obviously moving all of his business away from the Bay Area in California over to Texas. And of course you could say, oh, but Elon Musk, much like Kevin O'Leary, is a right-wing guy. You know, it's all just propaganda. Surely he's only moving his billion-dollar business because of politics. Okay, if that's true, then let's look at a liberal industry that's also moved out of a state like California. By the way, Jeff Bezos, they mentioned Amazon. Jeff Bezos is a Democrat, okay? Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, so I would note that. But also look at Hollywood. You know where most of Hollywood movies are filmed nowadays? You know where they do a lot of their business? Atlanta, Georgia, in a Republican state, okay? You cannot get an industry more liberal leaning than Hollywood, but even apparently there, you know, just the cost, the taxes, the regulation, all of the anti-business environment even leads a lot of Hollywood to now be outsourced to outside of Hollywood. This is a real thing. You're seeing it nationwide. Not just Republican businessmen are doing it, but I'd love to find out how CNN wishes to deny the reality of the situation. So let's see.
I don't want to hog the conversation, but what was Elizabeth Warren's response when you said that to her?
Look, I have a lot of respect for her because it's okay to have a debate about politics, but not policy. When you have punitive policy, you're making a mistake. And I want to just put up my hand and say, I don't agree, Senator, with your policy. I respect you as a politician, a very successful one. You know, she's very successful, and that's the state where I grew my kids. I mean, our family grew up in Boston, Massachusetts. We left there to move to Florida like everybody else is because it's such a tough place to, you know, this is a tough message. People really are critical about this, but somebody has to call it out because this is a competition of states now, and we don't put money there anymore. We put it in other places, and jobs are created elsewhere. Over time, this is going to diminish New Jersey, diminish New York, diminish Massachusetts, and California out of business. Out of business. El Morte. No business there. You can't do business there.
Common sense.
I don't know what that place is going to turn into. Maybe a tourist zone, but no business. Imagine San Francisco. You can't even walk at night out in the street.
And as you can hear, as usual there, Caitlin Collins tries to be smarty pants, right? She tries to interject and say, no, wait, but that's not happening. Surely that's not happening. Okay, you can observe this trend literally any business sector across a nation, doesn't matter if it's ran by a Democrat businessman or Republican businessman. Many of them are making the same exact decisions. You see the stores closing down. If you want to talk about something more local, how about the fact in San Francisco, a lot of stores are closing simply just because of the crime, just because it's just unfeasible to deal with. But hey, props to Kevin O'Leary. At least one Shark Tank guy is willing to call it out and actually speak the truth, because we know another one by the name of Mark Cuban, who very ironically does not live in a blue state. He lives in Dallas, Texas. Okay, so you want to talk about this debate? I mean, hey, doesn't that prove it right? But anyways, we know that Mark Cuban is more than happy to just defend this stuff, despite the fact that he doesn't really live out the things that he says. But take a listen.
To her value proposition is we need to tax everybody fairly. I'm starting from the Biden plan as a starting point, but that's not necessarily her ending
Mark,
point.
let me just say, I appreciate you calling in, telling us what you're hearing on these fronts. That's great. But as you've said yourself, you can't speak for the vice president. These are things they're telling you. Who knows what they're telling other people? My guess is they're telling anybody who's donating to them exactly what they want to hear at this point. What matters is what they say publicly and what they will stick to.
No, absolutely, positively not. Right. Let me just be very
I don't know.
clear
Like, why do you think that they're telling you the truth and not telling other people other things?
Well, I don't,
if they won't say it publicly, say it publicly. Tell all of us so that we can hold you to it.
I get it, but you got to get the details right. You can't just.
Yeah, but we have 60 days till an election. Like, you're asking people to take a flyer.
Even if it's the day before the election, right? Even if it's the day before. Look, the next question is, the second thing I was going to mention earlier.
I just don't want everybody to trade on what we think and what we feel and what we think may happen.
Exactly.
Just tell us.
Yeah, so again, I think the point here is that don't listen to what people say. Look at what people do, especially where the money goes, right? People vote with their feet and they vote with their money ultimately in terms of, I guess, deciding the verdict on these decisions. Mark Cuban can talk a big game about how he's such a bleeding heart liberal and he loves the Democrat Party so much, but ultimately, what is he the owner of? The Dallas Mavericks. Where does he live and do business out of? Dallas, Texas. By the way, he talks so much about climate change, and yet he is renowned, you can look this up, for his private jet collection. These people don't live out the things they are saying, but here's the ultimate reality. Kevin O'Leary is right. Insane regulation and liberal policies are killing a lot of these blue states. Blue states, by the way, that have an inherent advantage in many ways over the red states, right? California, New York, they have the population. They have the historic kind of business centers that, you know, there's a reason why they're usually historically the places you want to do business. But the point is, what is killing those states? Well, newsflash, it's not their geography, it's their policies, okay? And that's just the truth. That said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. And until next time, I've been Vince with Resist the Mainstream. Peace.